Hook, November 17, 1941. The North African desert, a vast, unforgiving canvas under a sky bruised with impending storm. Rain lashes down, an anomaly in this arid land, transforming sand into clinging mud. Lieutenant Colonel Geoffrey Keyes, a mere 24 years old, leads a small, elite force of British commandos. Their mission? To strike at the very heart of the enemy, to decapitate the Afrika Korps by eliminating its legendary commander, Erwin Rommel. Deep behind enemy lines 250 miles from friendly forces, they crawl through the darkness towards a solitary villa near Beta Littoria, the supposed lair of the desert fox. Every shadow hides a threat, every gust of wind carries the whisper of discovery. They are few, the enemy is legion, and the target is the most dangerous man in North Africa. They believe Rommel sleeps within these walls, unaware of the silent, deadly visitors. But what if the intelligence is wrong? What if the most audacious raid of the war is already doomed, not by enemy fire, but by a ghost? Context: the year is 1941, and the war in North Africa rages with a ferocity that defines the desert theater. For the British, the tide of battle has often turned against them. Adolf Hitler, seeing his Italian ally Benito Mussolini's armies routed, dispatched the formidable General Erwin Rommel and his Afrika Korps to Libya in February 1941. Rommel, a brilliant tactician, had swiftly pushed the British 500 miles back, almost entirely out of Libya, leaving only the besieged garrison at Tobruk holding out against incredible odds. He made the desert his own, appearing without warning, striking at will, and running rings around British forces. The Eighth Army, painfully rebuilt and reinforced, prepares for Operation Crusader, a major offensive to relieve Tobruk and drive the Axis out of Cyrenaica. But General Claude Auchinleck, the British commander, understands a crucial truth. To win, they must neutralize Rommel. Enter Lieutenant Colonel Geoffrey Charles Tasker Keyes. Born on May 18, 1917, in Aberdour, Fife, Scotland, Keyes is the son of a living legend, Admiral of the Fleet Roger Keyes, a celebrated naval hero of the First World War and the first director of combined operations in the Second. Young Geoffrey, denied entry to the Navy due to imperfect eyesight, followed his father into the army, commissioned into the Royal Scots Greys. He is a man in a hurry, driven by a desire to carve his own legacy, to live up to the immense shadow cast by his illustrious father. Keyes is no stranger to daring. He saw action in Norway and earned the Military Cross for his leadership during the crossing of the Litani River in Lebanon against Vichy French forces in June 1941. He is currently the youngest acting lieutenant colonel in the British Army, a testament to his audacious spirit and proven bravery. His unit, Number 11, Scottish, Commando, is part of Lay Force, an ad hoc formation of special forces created to conduct raids and disrupt Axis communications in the Mediterranean. These commandos are volunteers, handpicked for their resilience, initiative, and willingness to undertake missions of extreme peril. They are the underdogs, a small, specialized force designed to strike where conventional armies cannot. Their very existence is a gamble, a desperate attempt to regain the initiative against a formidable enemy. Obstacle: the plan, codenamed Operation Flipper, is audacious, bordering on suicidal. Its primary objective: to eliminate Erwin Rommel. Secondary targets include destroying the nearby Italian headquarters and its communications network, sabotaging the Italian intelligence office in Apollonia, and conducting general sabotage. The raid is meticulously planned to coincide with the launch of Operation Crusader on November 18, 1941. The hope is that Rommel's death will throw the Afrika Korps into disarray, crippling their response to the main British offensive. But skepticism permeates the higher echelons. Colonel Robert Laycock, the overall commander of Operation Flipper, assesses the attack on Rommel's headquarters as desperate in the extreme, and meaning almost certain death for those who took part. Yet, despite these grave warnings, the mission receives approval. The stakes are too high, the potential payoff too great, to dismiss such a bold stroke. The intelligence, however, is a house built on sand. British intelligence, relying on a report from Captain John Haselden, a legendary desert figure fluent in Arabic and Italian, believes Rommel's headquarters is a villa in Beta Littoria. Haselden, operating deep behind enemy lines, had observed Rommel's staff car there. What they don't know is that Rommel, ever on the move, had shifted his main headquarters closer to Tobruk weeks earlier to be near the front lines. More critically, Rommel is not even in North Africa. He left for Rome on November 1 to request crucial supply ship replacements, not due back until November 18. British intelligence intercepts this vital information via Ultra on November 17, the very day of the raid, but the urgent signal to call off the operation arrives too late. The Commandos are sailing towards a ghost. The journey begins on the evening of November 10, 1941. 6 officers and 53 men of No. 11, Scottish, Commando board 2 submarines, HMS Tabe and HMS Talisman, in Alexandria Harbor. Keyes commands the party on Tabe, comprising 2 officers and 22 men. Colonel Laycock is on Talisman with 2 officers and 24 men. The submarines navigate the treacherous waters, a journey filled with the nauseating lurch of the vessel. Many of the commandos are thoroughly seasick, a miserable start to an already perilous undertaking. They arrive off the landing beaches near Apollonia on November 14. Captain Haselden and an Arab soldier from the G.R. branch are waiting, having been dropped earlier by the Long-Range Desert Group, LRDG. They are to guide the falboats, collapsible canoes, and dinghies to the beach. But as Laycock and his men prepare to disembark from Talisman, a squall, a sudden, violent storm, strikes the coast. Heavy seas drive the Talisman aground, making disembarkation nearly impossible. Only Laycock and 7 of his men manage to make it ashore through the crashing waves and torrential rain before the landing is brought to a halt. Keyes, with remarkable fortune, manages to get himself and all his men from Tabe ashore. The force is now severely depleted. The original plan, already fraught with danger, must be drastically modified. With his numbers cut almost in half, Keyes takes charge. The revised plan focuses on a 2-part assault. Keyes will lead the attack on Rommel's headquarters, while Lieutenant Roy Cook and 6 men will target the Italian headquarters and communications. Laycock, with his drastically reduced team, will secure the escape route. The commandos are now even fewer, the odds even longer. No one believed him when he said this would be a death sentence. They were all wrong. The mission, against all logic, presses forward. Escalation. The night of November 15, Keyes, Cook, and their remaining men begin their arduous trek inland. The rain continues, a relentless downpour that turns the already difficult Libyan terrain into a quagmire. They face a march of 15 to 20 miles, approximately 24 to 32 kilometers, through mud-slicked paths, over treacherous rocks, and across open ground where every shadow could conceal an enemy patrol. The darkness is absolute, broken only by the occasional flash of lightning, briefly illuminating their grim procession. Each step is a struggle against the elements and the ever-present fear of discovery. The weight of their equipment, the sodden uniforms, and the constant chill of the rain begin to take their toll. Fatigue gnaws at their resolve, but the urgency of their mission, the belief that Rommel awaits, propels them forward. They move with the stealth of ghosts, relying on Haselden's intimate knowledge of the local terrain and the cover of the storm. Haselden, with his perfect command of Arabic and Italian, is invaluable, guiding them through enemy territory, avoiding known patrols and checkpoints. The mission is a race against time, not just against the enemy, but against the clock of Operation Crusader, which is set to launch on the 18th. They must complete their task and be clear of the area before the main offensive begins, lest they be caught between 2 advancing armies. By the evening of November 17, they have reached their respective launch positions, exhausted but determined. The villa believed to be Rommel's headquarters stands before Keyes and his team, a seemingly innocuous building that holds, in their minds, the fate of the North African campaign. The air is thick with anticipation and dread. The final preparations are made in hushed whispers. Keyes dispatches a small covering party to block the approaches to the house, ensuring no reinforcements can surprise them during the assault. He is left with only 2 men, his second-in-command, Captain Robin Campbell, and a sergeant. This tiny 3-man assault team will breach the inner sanctum. At 0 hour, under the cover of the still falling rain and the impenetrable darkness, Keyes, Campbell, and the sergeant crawl forward. They navigate past the German guards, spectral figures in the gloom, and through the surrounding fence, their movements precise, silent. Their hearts pound, a drumbeat against the night. They reach the house itself. Keyes, without a moment of hesitation, moves to the front door. He raises his hand, and, in a bold, almost unbelievable act, pounds on the door, demanding entrance. The audacity is breathtaking, designed to disorient and surprise the occupants. The door opens. A German sentry stands on the threshold, momentarily stunned. A struggle ensues. The element of surprise, so painstakingly maintained, is instantly compromised. It proves impossible to overcome the sentry silently, and a shot rings out, shattering the night's silence. The sentry falls. The noise echoes, a stark declaration of their presence, immediately alerting the inhabitants of the house. Keyes understands that speed is now paramount, that every second lost is a life risked. He instinctively takes the lead. Bursting into the first room, he empties his revolver with devastating effectiveness. The sounds of gunfire and shouted German commands fill the air. The other officer, Captain Campbell, follows, throwing a grenade into the room, adding to the chaos. Keyes, driven by an almost reckless daring, then flings open the door to a second room on the ground floor. He steps inside, revolver ready. But almost immediately, a shot rings out from within the room. Keyes stumbles back into the passage, mortally wounded. His companions rush to him, carrying him outside, but it is too late. He dies within minutes, a young life extinguished in the desolate Libyan night. The audacious leader, the youngest acting lieutenant colonel, falls, not knowing that his ultimate target, Rommel, is hundreds of miles away, safe in Rome. The remaining commandos, their mission compromised, their leader dead, are now in a desperate fight for survival. The German villa, now a scene of frantic activity, erupts with defensive fire. Captain Campbell, himself shot in the leg, is forced to be left behind as the survivors retreat under a hail of bullets. The rain continues to fall, washing away the blood and the hopes of the raid. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Cook's detachment, targeting the Italian headquarters, experiences its own brutal engagement. They encounter stiff resistance, engaging in fierce, close-quarters combat. The Italian forces, though surprised, quickly rally, their numbers overwhelming the small commando team. Cook's men fight valiantly, inflicting casualties, but the sheer weight of enemy response forces them to withdraw, their mission incomplete. Communication lines are cut in some places, minor acts of sabotage achieved, but the larger objective of crippling the Italian command remains elusive. Laycock, positioned to secure the escape route, hears the distant gunfire, a grim confirmation of the unfolding disaster. His own small party is now the last hope for any survivors. They wait, hidden in the unforgiving terrain, for men who may never come. Hours stretch into an eternity as the sounds of battle fade, replaced by the chilling silence of pursuit. As dawn breaks on November 18, 1941, the full scale of the operation's failure becomes brutally clear. German and Italian forces sweep the area, hunting down the scattered commandos. Out of the original party, only a handful manage to evade immediate capture. Most of the 22 surviving raiders are rounded up by the Germans and Italians, exhausted, wounded, and demoralized. They are taken prisoner, their dreams of striking a decisive blow against Rommel shattered. Colonel Laycock and Sergeant Jack Terry, against all odds, manage to escape the dragnet. They embark on an incredible, arduous journey across the vast, hostile desert. For 37 days, they evade Axis patrols, battling thirst, hunger, and exposure. They become phantoms in the wilderness, moving only under the cover of darkness, surviving on their wits and the meager supplies they carry. Each day is a testament to their endurance, a desperate struggle for survival in a land determined to claim them. They cover hundreds of miles, a testament to the brutal reality of desert warfare and the sheer will to live. Their journey is a solitary odyssey, a stark contrast to the initial, daring dash. They are the only ones. Everyone else is either captured or killed. The news of the raid, though a failure in its primary objective, sends ripples through the Axis command. Rommel, upon hearing of the audacious attempt on his life, is reportedly surprised. The Germans initially suspect that the raiding party dropped in by parachute, believing the objective was to capture top-secret battle plans. The raid manages to sow nervousness and confusion behind German lines, forcing them to divert additional troops to Beta Litoria as rumors of further commando action spread. This small, unexpected disruption, though not the intended outcome, still demonstrates the reach and daring of British special forces. It is a psychological blow, a stark reminder that even deep behind their lines, the enemy is not entirely safe. The captured commandos face harsh interrogations. They are forced to reveal what they know, but their knowledge of the broader strategic picture is limited. The Germans are particularly interested in the methods of infiltration, the extent of British intelligence, and the broader intentions behind such a daring operation. The prisoners endure the privations of captivity, a stark end to their heroic, but ultimately tragic, mission. Back in London, the intelligence failure becomes a topic of intense scrutiny. The Ultra Decrypts, confirming Rommel's absence, arrived too late. The chain of command, the speed of information dissemination, are all questioned. How could such a critical piece of intelligence not reach the men risking their lives on the ground? The answer reveals a nascent, still developing special operations capability, where coordination and rapid communication are not yet perfected. The lessons learned from Operation Flipper, though paid for in blood, will contribute to the evolution of future commando and special forces operations. The price of pioneering such tactics is often high, but the insights gained are invaluable for the future of warfare. The courage of Keyes and his men, though ending in tragedy, lays groundwork for future, more successful, deep penetration raids. Climax: the hour is midnight. November 17, 1941. The villa at Beta Litoria, cloaked in the impenetrable Libyan night, stands silent, unsuspecting. Rain, a steady, chilling drizzle, mutes every sound, a temporary accomplice to the audacious plan. Lieutenant Colonel Geoffrey Keyes, Captain Robin Campbell, and a single sergeant are the spearhead, 3 men against an unknown number of Germans. Their faces, streaked with mud and rain, are grim with resolve. Every muscle is taut, every sense sharpened to an unbearable degree. This is the moment. They crawl through the perimeter fence, the barbed wire snagging silently on their uniforms. Each movement is slow, deliberate, a dance with death in the pitch black. The shadows of the building loom large, oppressive. They see the faint glow of a cigarette, hear the murmur of German voices. Guards. They are close. Too close. Keyes, leading the way, reaches the front door. He takes a deep breath, steeling himself. He pounds on the heavy wooden door, the sound startlingly loud in the oppressive quiet. A pause. An eternity. Then, the creak of hinges. The door slowly opens. A German sentry, surprised, steps into the narrow opening, his face a bewildered mask in the dim light filtering from within. For a split second, both men are frozen, locked in a silent tableau. Keyes lunges, attempting to overpower him silently, but the sentry resists, grappling fiercely. The struggle is brief, brutal. A muffled shout. Then, a shot rings out, deafening in the confined space. The sentry collapses. The silence that follows is even more terrifying than the gunshot, pregnant with the knowledge that surprise is utterly lost. Alarms blare within the villa. Shouts erupt in German. Footsteps pound on stairs. Keyes, without hesitation, bursts through the now open doorway. He is inside. He sees a room to his left, figures moving in the sudden chaos. His revolver, a heavy extension of his arm, spits fire. 6 rounds, quick and precise, find their mark. Captain Campbell follows, hurling a grenade into the room, the explosion ripping through the air, adding to the cacophony of screams and splintering wood. Keyes, his blood coursing with adrenaline, pushes forward. Another door. He flings it open, revealing a second room. He steps across the threshold, weapon raised, ready to engage any enemy within. But as he crosses that invisible line, a shot cracks from the darkness inside the room. A searing pain. Keyes stumbles, a choked gasp escaping his lips. He falls back into the passage, mortally wounded. Campbell and the sergeant are instantly at his side, dragging him back, away from the enemy fire. They pull him through the doorway, back into the rain-swept night. His body is heavy, limp. They lay him gently on the muddy ground, desperately trying to stem the flow of blood, but it is futile. His breath comes in ragged gasps, shallow and fading. The youngest acting lieutenant colonel, the audacious leader who dared to challenge the Desert Fox, dies within minutes, his last breath exhaling into the cold, indifferent Libyan air. The raid, in that instant, shifts from a mission of capture and destruction to one of grim survival. The villa is now fully alerted, German soldiers pouring out, firing into the darkness. The small commando team, leaderless and reeling from the loss, is forced to abandon Keyes's body, a brutal necessity. They melt back into the shadows, the missio. A catastrophic failure, marked by the ultimate sacrifice. Legacy. The immediate aftermath of Operation Flipper is one of grim accounting. Of the commandos who landed, 2 are killed, including Lieutenant Colonel Geoffrey Keyes. 28 are captured, 3 of whom are wounded. Only 3 men managed to escape the enemy dragnet. German casualties are 4 killed and 3 wounded. The villa, mistakenly identified as Rommel's headquarters, was in fact occupied by his chief quartermaster, General Schleussener, and other supply colonels. The ultimate objective, the capture or killing of Erwin Rommel, remains tragically unfulfilled. Despite the operational failure and the devastating loss of life, the bravery of Lieutenant Colonel Keyes is recognized with the highest honor. He is posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross, the British military's premier award for gallantry in the face of the enemy. The citation praises his fearless disregard of the great dangers which he ran and of which he was fully aware, and by his magnificent leadership and outstanding gallantry. While some historical accounts suggest his death may have been the result of friendly fire, the official narrative of his heroic charge stands as a testament to his courage. Sergeant Jack Terry, who eventually escaped with Colonel Laycock, receives the Distinguished Conduct Medal, and Gunner Jim Gornall the Military Medal, for their exceptional bravery. The chivalry of Rommel, the Desert Fox himself, emerges from this tragic episode. Upon learning of the raid and Keyes's death, Rommel orders that Keyes be buried with full military honors in a local Catholic cemetery. His personal chaplain, Rudolf Daumrith, officiates the ceremony, and cypress crosses and wreaths are made for both the British and German dead. Rommel even instructs that photographs of the ceremony and Keyes's grave be sent to his parents, an act of respect that transcends the brutal realities of war. Keyes's body is later moved to the Benghazi War Cemetery. Winston Churchill, upon hearing of the raid's outcome, is said to have remarked, "I would far rather have Geoffrey alive than Rommel dead." This poignant statement underscores the immense value placed on a young, daring officer, even over the neutralization of a formidable enemy. Operation Flipper, though a tactical failure in its primary objective, served as a stark lesson in intelligence gathering and the coordination of special operations. The critical intelligence regarding Rommel's absence, though known via ultra-intercepts, failed to reach the commando force in time, highlighting the nascent state of rapid communication in such clandestine missions. Yet, the raid did achieve a secondary effect. It created nervousness and confusion behind German lines, forcing them to divert resources and demonstrating the unsettling reach of British commandos. It also boosted British morale at home, showcasing their army's capacity for offensive action during a difficult period in North Africa. The legacy of Operation Flipper lies not just in its tragic outcome, but in its contribution to the evolution of special forces. The daring, the initiative, and the ultimate sacrifice of men like Geoffrey Keyes paved the way for future commando and special air service operations. Their courage, though met with adversity, forged the doctrines and honed the skills that would become hallmarks of elite units throughout the war and beyond. Keyes, the ambitious young officer, driven by a desire to emulate his heroic father, found his own place in history, a symbol of audacious courage in the face of impossible odds. CTA, if this story of incredible bravery and sacrifice moved you, subscribe to our channel for more forgotten stories of World War II every week. Which moment of Operation Flipper surprised you most? Comment below.